Hi guys, this is Vidas and welcome to my tutorial series Learn with Vidas today. In this video, in this tutorial, I will teach you how to improvise a meditation based on Gregorian Chant tune Salve Regina. You know this tune probably by heart. It's very famous, beautiful tune, and I hope you will enjoy this tutorial, and hopefully you can apply my tips in your practice and improvise something like this for your own use, or even write down and compose a meditation like this, because the actual inspiration for this tutorial was my good friend from Australia, James Flores, whom I would like to try out creating a meditation based on this tune, Salve Regina. And hopefully this tutorial will be a good help for James. And for you also, if you want to try it out too. So, let's see what's happening in the chat. Niels is here. Good evening. Wonderful, wonderful. Hopefully Niels can join and learn a lot as well today. As I said, it could be improvisation that you're wanting to try out, or it could be written down composition, or both. Yeah, it could be the same principle, because improvisation, what is improvisation? In my mind, improvisation is a composition of the piece at the moment of performance. You're performing this piece at the same time as you are creating it, basically, right? There is no gap in terms of time. Written down composition, you can write down on paper or notate it on the computer program, think, erase the mistakes, right? Update and make it better. Whereas with improvisation, you are creating it in your mind and performing it right away at the same time. Well, it doesn't mean that you can't think about this piece beforehand. It doesn't mean that you have to look at the theme and start creating it and performing it right away. No, it could be previously well thought out piece structure, and maybe you have created a few similar textures in advance, right? Like an exercise, you could have done many exercises based on a similar model, and then improvisation would be your result of your exercises, right? Just like in practicing any piece of music, if you want to learn improvisation, you have to treat it like a small composition or a small repertoire piece. You have to do it over and over and over again in a slow tempo with easy textures first, and then make it more gradually difficult, more difficult, like this. So today's, of course, meditation will be rather easy. And welcome Dawn in the chat. Dawn is our total organist student, and hopefully she will learn it a lot today. All right, let's take a look at the registration that we can use. We're using Cavaille-Coll organ Sweelinq sample set in Poligny. So the starting registration for the demonstration of the tune, I first will demonstrate the tune for you. Probably will need to be a little like a basson au bois, coupled with bourdon, and maybe flute. No, too much. Flutes, two flutes in the pedal, and grandeur could take accompaniment. Like this, all right? So what I'm going to do now is simply play the tune for you. Right hand will have the solo line. You will hear the beautiful chant, Salve Regina, in C, in the mode of C. It's not C major, but it will not have any accidentals, just like C major. Ionian mode, we could say, or in Gregorian chant tones, it's the fifth tone, by the way, number 5. All right, let me then demonstrate it for you. Demonstrate it from this angle. All right. Excellent. And then let's see if we could mute the mic as well. So, what do you say? It's a beautiful tune. Of course, it's in the mode of C, sounding like a C major. We could say it's in Ionian mode, but originally it was written in the fifth mode. Ionian, it has the same half steps and steps, whole steps as in C major. Basically, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Right? 2 major tetrachords like this from the note C. Right? Let's say it again. That's Ionian, right? And that fits our purpose today very well. All right? If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat, obviously. All right. So, what can we do with this theme? Obviously, meditation, that's our purpose. And in order to understand the structure of the meditation, let me first count the number of sentences, text sentences of the chant. Salve Regina, Mater Misericordia, Vita Dulcedo, et spes nostra salve. That's 1. Second, a te clamamus, exules filii Eve. Number 2. Number 3, a te suspiramus, Gementes et flentes in hac lacrimarum vale. 3, right? Number 4, ea ergo advocata nostra, illos tuos misericordes oculos ad nos converte. And number 5, et Iesum benedictum fructum ventris tui, nobis post hoc exilium ostende. And then the ending, number 6, probably would be all up until the end. O clemens, o pia, o dulcis Virgo Maria, right? So basically 6 chant phrases, right? Not phrases, but sentences. So 6 episodes could be performed within this meditation. And normally when I do meditation I simply have introduction and some kind of ostinato motive before, between, and after chorale phrases, after the hymn phrases or the chant phrases, so to say. So if there are 6 chant phrases in this chant, right, we will have 7 ways to play ostinato, introductory figure, which could be repeated or could be changed as well if you want to. 7 basically musical interludes, let's say interludes. So let me first play it for you, meditation, so that you could actually know what I'm talking about, right? And then we'll discuss how to do it step by step so that you could do it in a few days or a week, right? Next time you want to play it in public. All right, let's do it. Meditation on Salve Regina. So, what do you say? Do you like this idea? If you do, give me some notice in the chat. Yeah. So this is basically what I did. uh, I actually followed the text and made stops with the ostinato figure, with the interludes. Let's call it interludes because it's not strictly ostinato, right? Ostinato means a fragment is repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. I could do it, let's say, if my left hand and the pedals play the same thing over and over and over, like two measure long fragment over entire piece of 3-4 minutes. What was it right now, right? 3-4 minutes. But it could be a little bit repetitive, right? If I do it all the time, the same two fragments for that long. For 1 minute it's okay, but for 3-4 minutes it's a little too much. So what I did instead, I played interludes, and it's still beautifully gentle, meditative feeling. Yeah, so solo voice in the right hand part takes the chant. And in between those chant phrases, I play interludes. And I play interludes where? I play interludes where the text says me to breathe. Let's say in the middle of the sentence, Salve Regina, Mater Misericordia. I take a breath there and play an interlude. And then play the rest of the phrase, Vita dulcedo et spes nostra salve. Right? And then the time to breathe. And during that time, I play the interlude for a few measures, not long. And then later, a te clamamus exules filii eve. Right? It's rather short sentences. I could do it in one breath, so maybe not necessary to include an interlude. But in a longer phrase, I could breathe in the middle and play an interlude instead of playing the chant right away, right? Does it make sense? Basically, right? You have to follow the text basically and see what is comfortable for your voice. And when you feel the need to breathe after a phrase, right, then you can play an interlude. That's all there is to it, right? The structure of the piece, right? How to achieve this, right? That's the biggest question. Is it difficult? It sounds advanced or not? To my mind, it's not advanced at all. But for you, it might be advanced. And you could keep it simple, actually. You could keep it rather simple. But no one is arguing what to do with the right hand. Right hand plays just the solo part from the chant. Well, if you take a look at what I have at the keyboard mode, yeah? Let me see if you can see it. Oh, it's a little vague sound. Look, but there are some notes, right? But there is no treble clef, right? No treble, no bass clef, no rhythms, really rhythms like we are used in the notation, in the modern notation. But this is Gregorian chant notation, 4-line stave, nota quadrata, square notes basically. And we have actually dealt with this type of reading in between. I did a couple or 3 actually tutorials on how to play Gregorian chant on the organ. And you could look back at from my tutorial series Learn with Vidas, and then you will find those things not very long ago, right? It was quite recently done also. Don might remember, and Niels might remember as well. So basically, if you want to play from this score, but if you don't, you could just find available written out version from modern notation, right, of this specific Salve Regina chant. I'm sure there are probably many versions available in modern notation, right? If you don't want to bother with reading Gregorian chant notation with 4 lines, C clef on the upper line, and then square notes, right? with various dots instead of rhythms. Yeah, it's not required, but it's good thing to get oriented how it's put together, how am I reading it on the score, right? So you can delve it a little deeper later. So the right hand plays this chant, right? That's easy. With some pauses in between, right? Because in between of those chant phrases, I play the interludes, right? So let's focus on how to create the interlude, right? What is an interlude? Interlude is a brief excerpt of music, episode of music, which could be related to the chant or could not be related to the chant. Let's talk both versions, okay? Let me drink a little bit of water to keep my voice a little bit fresh, and then we'll come back. So, welcome back, and now let's talk about what to do in those interludes. Two ways, basically. You can have a formula to play, repeating formula, or you can do something related to the chant material. Right? Formula first. Remember what you know from music theory. What kind of chords do you know? Do you know 3-note chords? Do you know 3-note chord inversions? Root position chord, first inversion chord, second inversion, right? Do you know 4-note chords, like 7th chord, 6-5 chords, 4-2 chords, and things like that? 4-3, I missed one. All right. Do you know the 9th chord, 5-note chords, right? Dominant 9th, let's say. These are a little more advanced than probably you need right now, but 3 or 4-note chords and their inversions, I use them all the time. And even if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, you could still use them with a little more look at the keyboard view right now. Let's see that we are on C major chord. Here is C major. What happens if we add a inversion of C major? This is E, G, C. That's first inversion. And that's the second inversion of C major. From the note D, minor root position chord, first inversion, second inversion. From the note E, 3 chords with inversions, from F. And the same is from the F, any other note of the C major scale except B, because when we start from the note B, we don't have a major or minor root position chord. This is diminished chord built from 2 minor thirds. This is minor third and this is a minor third, PD, DF. And in order to have major chord, you should have like this: major third plus minor third, major third plus minor third. But B flat is already foreign to C major, and we're not using it. In order to have a minor chord, root position chord from the note B, we have to have F sharp, right? Because minor third plus major third is what consists, what is our minor chord. Minor third plus major third. In other disposition, we have major third plus minor third. Right? That's a major chord. But both version, minor, B minor with F sharp, is foreign to C major, and B flat major chord is foreign to C major because of the flat. right? But still looking at the keyboard here, we could insert a second, major second, right? Somewhere. A whole tone or a half step or whole step, in the middle, on top, in the middle, on the bottom, look here. All those three versions could be very useful to your colorful interludes, because you spice up the harmony. Imagine just for a bit, I'm using the side view as well. Imagine I'm playing C in the pedals, in the middle C. And instead of playing C major chord, I'm adding those half step and whole step dissonances. That's what makes a difference, like this. Beautiful. What do you think? It's still beautiful. Why is this still beautiful? I'm playing almost everything I can play in C major, and it's still beautiful. And here is the chant. Here is B flat if you want. If the melody doesn't have B flat at the moment, or B natural, you could play B flat in the accompaniment, and it's still beautiful. Here is no E flat, no B flat. I could use it in the left hand part. Yeah, like this. You see, Dawn is asking, is it C6 chord? C6, probably. You mean? Let me show you the keyboard view. This is a root position C major chord. C5, 3. C6 would be this. C, E, A. It's a 6 chord. But a root position chord from this inversion is not C major, but A major. A minor chord, sorry. Because A, C, E, that's a minor root position chord. First inversion, second inversion. Yeah? That's the idea. And if you just add a whole step or a half step here, it's already a little bit more advanced. Or this way, or this way, or this way, or this way, or this way. You can play as many notes as you want in the left hand part. Usually 3 or sometimes 4, depends on how big your hand is, depends how well you can use finger substitution, because in meditation playing you have to play legato basically in one hand. And of course, to play legato 3 or 4 notes, that's not a small feat, not small technique. You have to use double substitution or even triple substitution. Let me show you what I mean on this view. So here is legato. I'm going with With 3-note chords, I'm doing completely legato. I'm using double substitution between those two lower notes, but I'm using thumb glissando on the upper note. Right? And here is even more notes if you want. It's very hard to notate the fingering in the score if you want to notate all the fingers that I'm playing. And sometimes it's not even possible to do everything legato, because then you have to choose sometimes the upper note. You have to choose whether to keep the upper note legato or the top note or the lower note legato or the middle note legato, and usually the outer notes are more important than the middle notes if you want to choose, because they're more audible, right? If we're going upwards, I would play the upper note legato. If we're going downwards, I would still play the upper note legato, but also the lower note legato, and the middle voices could be a little less legato, as legato as possible, though, right? So, why does it still sound nice? Whatever I play like this. Am I playing random notes? No, of course not. But in my mind, when I use white notes, I'm playing in C major, in the mode of C, so to say, right? In Ionian, if you want those terms. And then if I use difficult chord here or there in between, it's still nice because it's all in one color, right? One color means those 7 notes from C to B and upper C, right? That's our tonal palette, right? The tonal design, right? And we can use any combination of those 7 notes and it will still sound nice, and especially also in the pedals. If we could play the note G in the pedals and over that I could play a passage, it's still nice on white notes. Oh, nice waves. You probably don't hear it very well through my noises, but I want to keep talking a little bit. And if I want to introduce B flat, I could do it. And E flat. Like this. Right? Basically, I'm playing any note of the mode, right? And it will sound nice because it's just one color of the mode. I'm not using foreign notes to the mode. When I want to introduce foreign notes to the mode, which is still very nice, this keeps things getting interesting, right? More colorful. Then I introduce them with purpose, which means, let's say, I'm looking at the score and see that there is no B flat in that episode, in that fragment, right? Which means I could use either B or B flat in my left hand part, or even in the pedals, because both would fit with the right hand part, because right hand doesn't play B at all, or B flat. So I could introduce B flat, right? It's foreign to C major mode, C major sound, but it sounds very nice once in a while, right? introducing F sharp once in a while if you're not playing F sharp in the right hand part. If you're not playing F at all, right? Then if your fragment looks like this, C, D, E, and G, you can play with this fragment B flat, and you could play F sharp as well, like this, in the pedals G, let's say, or let's say C. Flat. F sharp. I added the B flat. And at the moment I have B flat in the right hand, my left hand also plays B flat, because B natural, you hear, it's already muddy. But here is nice. Not nice? Nice. So if you make a mistake, let's say, if you make a mistake and introduce the wrong accidental, don't be afraid, by the way, because there was a famous improviser in America, J. Hancock, and he wrote a book, How to Improvise, a method book basically, very much recommended, by the way. And in one of the chapters he wrote that salvation is never further than a half step away. Is almost just a half step away. If I play the wrong note, B flat, you could introduce it in the left hand part, B flat also. And if this means that in the left hand you played previously B, and you could introduce B flat in the left hand as well, which is just a half step, right? All our mistakes can be fixed with a half step, basically. And I tell you more. If you make a mistake somewhere in the right hand part, or the left hand, or in the pedals, what I usually do is I repeat the same mistake 3 times, because twice is not very I'm not very sure if it's a mistake second time or if it's deliberate, right? But if I do it 3 times, it's really not a mistake, it's part of your music. Let me do it one more time, let's say the first phrase, and I will make intentional mistake someplace, and I will repeat the same mistake 2 more times, and you will hear how it's not a mistake anymore. Let me show you what I mean. Did you hear the last, almost the last phrase? I did this intentional mistake. Where is this? Like this. I played B flat, and B flat is not part of this phrase. I repeated second time, I repeated third time, and then it was just very simple to fix. If, let's say, I do instead this phrase, I would play G flat. I could fix it like this. Still fixable, right? A half step away. Your salvation is, according to Jir Hancock, master improviser from America. So, does it make sense what I'm talking about? It's very, very simple to do if you keep everything in C, right? What can you do to practice this? You keep playing, and before playing, you have to decide what kind of meter, right? Did you notice I was playing everything in 4/4 meter? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Like this, right? You have to keep counting 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be in 3/4 meter, let's say, also, if you want. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Like this. You could actually do it in 3/4 meter. You could do it in 6/8 meter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like a little Sicilian, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, does it make sense? You could use any meter that you want, but you have to stick with this meter, keep counting. Very easy to do is in 4/4 meter. That's why I started for you at the beginning. But I could do it in any other meter that you want. So basically, that's the idea, yeah? If you have any other questions, please let me know, of course. What else is important to know when you practice such meditations besides playing the right hand part as written with interludes? And by the way, did you notice I played the notes of the right hand part correctly as written, but my rhythm was quite flexible and adjusted to the meter, right? Let's say in the last fragment, 6/8 meter, I played this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? In original, there is no such rhythm, right? With dotted notes in Gregorian Chant. But you're free to do it, and it's very beautiful to do it actually. To change the meter according to your will, according to your feeling of this meditation, and instead of meditation, you could create a nice cantilena with 6/8 meter. Cantilena or Siciliana or pastoral, right? It could work as well, very well. A little different character, more involved, more active, but it's still very, very beautiful. And you could use a number of registrations, by the way, if you want to check it out. I will tell you. In terms of registration, here for the right hand part, you could do, let's say, what do we have here? You could have just a monter or bourdon with the tremolo. If your organ has a cornet, it's a nice solo combination as well. Cornet, any type of reed, a louder reed if you want to play it in the left hand range, but perhaps without the tremolo. Yeah, and perhaps not for meditation, because then you would have to add the monter and flute harmonique to the right hand part and adjust actually the pedal with the tiras, with the couplet. This is possible. This is 3/4 meter. Yeah, like this. It's still very beautiful, but it's a little louder, you see? It's a little louder. Maybe I could do a second version now for you. based on this type of registration, right? For the ending, right? We still have a few minutes, and hopefully you could practice this way too. 3/4 meter, left hand could have the tune as I demonstrated for you, and it will not be as soft because I added foundation, 8-foot foundation in the right hand part, and added coupler to the pedal, coupler to the grade, in order to make the pedal and the accompaniment sound match to the left hand trumpet sound, right? And it's still slower feeling, slower tempo. I don't have to rush things, right? So I could use 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Primarily use quarter notes, 8 notes, and dotted quarter notes in my accompaniment rhythms, or even longer notes in the pedals as well. And don't forget to perhaps use episodes without the pedal. The pedals sometimes sound a little too deep, right? If you play 4-minute piece entirely with 16 feet in the pedals without any break, that's like using double bass in the orchestra all the time. And it's not the case. Sometimes you see cellos playing, but not the double basses. Sometimes double basses double the cellos, usually, right? But sometimes they rest. And these resting episodes are very, very nice in symphonic orchestra, symphonic music, because they give the audience the feeling of lightness. There is no 16-foot sound, lower, 1 octave lower sound, right? Sub bass, right? Sub octave sound. The same is for the organ. If you take any piece of music for the organ, classical organ repertoire, and you check the pedal part, chances are that there are measured there, a couple of measures here and there where there is no pedal notes written at all. There are some rests because they need to rest also. It's like singing, always singing without any rests. It's tiring, right, for the voice. You have to take a break sometimes, right? So let me do it. I like the idea of playing the chant in the left hand part, in the tenor range, so to say. So that's how it would sound for you. Enjoy. With interludes, of course, I will do interludes in between of the chant phrases, just like we discussed before. And with a little different accidentals, B flat here and there, E flat here and there if there is no E note in the chant, right? What else could I do? I could use, if I hold the note C at the end of the phrase, I could use D flat in the accompaniment. I could use A flat in the accompaniment, right? Because it's already a different mode at this point, but in that new mode there is the note C, and there is the note C in C major or Ionian also. So those both modes, while putting together one next to each other, they beautifully are matched because there is at least one common note, at least C, right? Or it could be at the end of the phrase G. So after this note G, I hold it longer with the left hand, and I could use, for example, B flat in my right hand or pedals. I could use E flat, right? Because it's a different mode, but it would still work. The note G for both C major and the new mode. All right, ready? Let's do it. So, what do you think? Was it still interesting by the end? Basically, what I did, I added some variations at the end, at the last 4 phrases. O clemens, o pie, o dulcis Virgo Maria. I introduced a technique which I haven't told you about before. I just briefly mentioned it to you in advance, right? That there are 2 ways to create interludes. One is create unconnected material with the tune. That's what we've been doing, right? Before we randomly created musical ideas in the accompaniment, right? And between the phrases as well, randomly, but based on the rhythmical movement of the chant and of the meter that you choose, right? But at the end, O clemens, O pia, O dulcis Virgo Maria, I introduced interludes which are based on the chant. I played this phrase here in the higher range, and even later. This with the accompaniment, it would sound like this. It's still an interlude because there is no solo voice, and then solo voice enters here. And then later, I introduce the last phrases. Yeah, like echo effect could be, except in echo effect, usually you introduce musical idea on a louder manual, louder color, and then echo happens on a softer manual. Here is the opposite. You introduce musical idea on a softer manual first, and then repeat it on a louder manual with the solo voice. It's a little bit like from the older days, from the Baroque time, for imitation technique, right? For imitation technique introduces chorale tune on the accompanying manual, using even imitative techniques, but on a secondary manual, right? And then only later you have a chant with the solo registration enter on the same musical idea, which you just heard in maybe imitation with the lower 3 voices. The right hand would enter with the longer note values, sometimes with ornamentation, right? It's still the same. It's like Dietrich Buxtehude would do, or Johann Sebastian Bach. 3 lower voices would imitate the forthcoming chorale phrase, right? And in our case, we don't do imitation between all the parts because it's not that genre, right? It's not imitative genre, although I could imitate, but that could lead us to some different musical territories, which could be left for later day, of course, if you want, if you request. But basically, I introduced the last musical ideas a little earlier than you heard it on the solo voice in the left hand part, right? So you could do it the same way throughout the piece, throughout the meditation. You could look at the score, at the chant, and base your interludes on the same musical melody, on the same intervals that the chant appears. It doesn't have to be identical. It could have just general musical idea line going upwards. Let's say Salve Regina goes upwards. So your imitation could be like this, right? It's still upwards, like this. It's still based on this. Like this. It could be, right? What else? I added, when I played the entire meditation for you this time, I added the last, on the last note of the Virgo Maria phrase, my left hand kept holding the C note, like this, right? And then my accompaniment, right hand, I kept playing whatever works and repeatedly repaired for ending. And then, look at what I did. I imitated the first phrase. Salve Regina, those 5 notes. And this is especially useful if you have to introduce the chant before singing with the congregation. Let's say if you're playing this type of piece as a prelude before the entering chant, entering hymn, right, entrance hymn, then you end your meditation with a short excerpt reminding how the first phrase sounds. Because even though you're playing beautiful music, your audience might be listening to what you're playing and keep thinking, oh, this is nice, but wait a second, what are we supposed to be singing next? And then when you keep holding the last note of the chant, either in the left hand or in the right hand part, you can introduce what's coming up next, right? As the very, very last cadence, right? Could be like this. Like this. I keep holding C in the pedals. I keep holding C in the right hand. You see what I'm doing? I'm using all kinds of dissonant chords, but on top of those notes is this phrase, Salve Regina, right? And then your audience, your congregation will remember, oh, this is this particular chant which I know, and then they will sing it, right? It doesn't have to be Gregorian chant. It could be your regular hymn that you will be singing next for communion, let's say, or offertory, or for the let's say entrance, right? You could use the same meditation technique as the hymn introduction, by the way. It could be shorter though, between minute and a minute and a half, and still end on a excerpt of the first phrase of the first stanza of the hymn that will follow. Okay, does it make sense? So that was my introduction to creating and improvising meditations based on Salve Regina, for example. Today's theme was Salve Regina, but you could take any other theme that you like. And in fact, let me know what you would like to learn to play next. What kind of piece or meditation or genre would you like me to explore next? And I will be happy to consider, right, for you. And maybe we could do it next time, the chant or the hymn of your choice. So thank you so much. Hopefully this gets James Flores going, my good friend from Australia, with ideas, right, based on this chant. I would love to see it based on paper creation. If you're not sure, feel free to write it down as a written out exercise, and only then play what you created, right, on paper or on musical notation software. It's still very good exercise, whether you're writing or playing or both, for your own creativity, because it's not enough to play other people's music that other people created. Every organist should start creating it on your own. It doesn't mean you will create a masterpiece right away. It doesn't mean we all create masterpiece all the time, no. But with time, if you keep creating, something good will happen. All right, thank you so much. And remember, when you practice, miracles happen.